I want all of you unbelievers to pay very special attention to what I'm about to say. God makes it clear in His scriptures that any and all who divide the land of Israel face destruction. We have already done that. This country has already done that. That's why we have the West Bank. That's why we have the Gaza Strip. Do you remember watching on TV as Jewish, Hebrew, Israeli soldiers removed settlers from the land by force? Do you remember watching that? What happened to Ariel Sharon after he did that? He went into a coma for 7-8 years before he died. God does not play games with His land. If He wishes to punish His people and remove them from the land and then bring them back, that's His supreme will. That's what He will do. But He brought them back into the land. And countries are dividing the land. That means destruction is already coming. President Trump doesn't have to do it again. But I guarantee you that in his cabinet and his administration, they've already got peace plans drawn up. They're trying to force the Palestinians to the table by removing all funding for them. He's putting the crunch on them. And I guarantee you He's going to give them a part of East Jerusalem or something. Something's in the works. Now, we are facing the storm, a hurricane, the likes of which we've never seen before. It's going to hit landfall, and it is just going to destroy everything in its path. And then it's going to linger, and it's just going to dump feet of rain. The eastern seaboard is literally going to be flooded and destroyed. Now realize this. There are 3 other hurricanes forming right now. We don't know the paths of them, but I can guarantee you, if we've divided the land of Israel, 1 or 2 of them hurricanes are going to come to this country and flatten it. Imagine, if you will, Hurricane Florence smashing through South Carolina, and it's so big that it dumps rain on the majority of the East Coast. Then say we have one come up from the tip of Florida and moves across the East Coast, dumping more rain and destruction. And then we have one come in from the Gulf, dumping more rain and destruction. How much water do you think the East Coast can take? The East Coast is very low. It's not like here in the West Coast where right now I'm at 200 feet sea level. That's where I'm at. But I just go an hour that way and I'm at thousands of feet sea level. I've got the Cascade Mountains right here. And the foothills is more than plenty enough to survive a flooding like that. But I'm telling you, if you're on the East Coast, you need to get out of the way. I'm talking 4 or 5 states away. Come to the West Coast if you have relatives here. There is going to be mass death and destruction from these storms. I guarantee it. We have already divided the land of Israel. And as Jeremiah Wright said, the chicken has now come home to roost. When Clinton did that, Katrina hit. Katrina was like one of the worst storms we've ever had. If you think you're going to be man enough or woman enough to ignore the evacuation order, you may just pay with your life. This is going to bring flooding like nothing before, and storm surges. Now is the time to believe. 1 Corinthians chapter 15, verses 1 through 4. And Ephesians chapter 2, verses 8 and 9. Grace through faith alone. What grace? What faith? Believe upon the death, burial, resurrection of Jesus Christ. You believe truly upon that, and you believe it's Him saving you, Him justifying you, you are saved. If you add works to that, you are not saved. It's a different gospel. And that falls under Galatians chapter 1, verses 8 and 9. This is it, people. Imagine, if you will, this country is hit by a storm so big that it floods the East Coast. I mean, just for hours, 24 hours it lingers, it just dumps rain the whole time. It's going to be massive floods. Let's say we get hit by 1 or 2 more of these hurricanes. Do you think Russia is honestly not going to take advantage of that and drop a couple nukes on us? Do you think that all this rain going to the soil might just trigger an earthquake or 2? This country made the mistake and gave the enemies of Israel their land for false peace. They've been attacked from this land that they gave to them since that time continuously. I hope that resurrection rapture happens very soon, because the destruction that's coming just might not be all on the East Coast. We might have that big earthquake on the West Coast and have a tsunami. This earth is in flux right now. Things are happening. Things are happening for a prophetic reason. Now is the time to believe, because if you are left behind at the resurrection rapture to face the chaos, Psalm 83, which is not just about Israel, it's about other countries being smashed, the dropping of the United States, the rising of the European community. Now is the time, because if you're left behind, you may not get that opportunity to believe and live in relative peace, because I guarantee you, you won't. You'll have to make a decision if you're left behind. You will either take the mark of the beast and be condemned forever, or become a real believer upon the Jesus Christ of these scriptures, a member of the body of the Christ church, and suffer and die for your faith. Now, this is why this is called an escape by Revelation chapter 3, verse 10. This is why it's called the harpazo, being snatched out of the way. Because just prior, I believe, to Psalm 83, which is a worldwide, quick, very intense war, the church is removed. Just snatched out of the way. It's violent. Get us out of the way. So if you're not a believer, I fear for you. Because when you're left behind, you're going to watch 2/3 of this world's population die as a direct judgment from God. Read the book of Revelation. Seal after seal, bowl after bowl, trump after trump. People are dying wholesale. Imagine 2/3, if not more, of the world's population dying in 7 years. Plague, famine, war, the Antichrist killing you because you refuse to worship him and take his mark. Now is the time to believe. You will regret it if you don't. All right, bye.